Okay, we're gonna do this. We are going to talk about the Dear Evan Hansen movie. As a fan of the show, which I feel is important because I know a lot of people don't like this show. I enjoy it. Basically, I think even though the ending is not great because it mostly absolves Evan, I think broadly speaking, the rest of it is really fun if you watch it with the understanding that Evan is the main character of Dear Evan Hansen, in the same way Thanos is the main character of Infinity War. Like, like they are the protagonists in the sense that they're pushing the plot forward. You're not supposed to really like them, and I get the feeling that the creators did not agree with me, mostly from this funky little article. Yeah, which we're going to be looking at because I'm a fan of this show, and some of the stuff the people making this movie have said about it are just making me not be excited for something I should, by all means, be excited for, considering, you know, I'm a broke college student. I'm sort of one of the main demographics of bringing theater to film because that makes it more accessible, more people can see it, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's get into this. This is a Parade article that was written way back in September 7th. I've been mad about it for weeks. Let's go. What's nice about this is that it's broken up into little sections so I can get all my points done one at a time. Okay, so first up. Mm, will there be singing in the Dear Evan Hansen movie? Of course, although Chomsky has admitted that he thinks of Dear Evan Hansen as more of a drama with songs. As he explained to Vanity Fair, you're there, you're at the dining room table, and suddenly there's a song, but it feels seamless. It's the reason why it works so beautifully on stage. It's not trying to have these big numbers, it's trying to just be very real and very emotional and very authentic to what people go through. Okay, so this is probably semantics, but the thing is, a drama with songs is technically a thing. It is a thing people will argue about as to whether it counts as a musical. That's basically like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, or the film version of Cabaret, where the characters aren't really singing the songs, but the songs reflect the plot and the mood of the movie. Also, Sing Street, although the characters are singing that one. Oh, okay, let me rephrase that. There are songs in it, and they might be sung by the characters, but they're not sung by the characters turning to the audience and going, "This is how I think and feel at this very moment." And yeah, there's debate as to whether those things count as musicals. We have this conversation at my house all the goddamn time. But the thing is, that doesn't describe Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen is not a drama with songs. It is a musical. It is a fucking musical, and you can use those words, sir, because being a musical is a bad thing. And that's just concern number one. Like, why can't you call a musical a musical? You wouldn't say a film is a season of a TV show compacted into 3 hours. No, they're two different mediums that require two different approaches. And most mediums work better if you work with the understanding of how the medium works. Like, if you're going to try and call it a drama with songs, it just sounds to me like you're saying, oh, don't worry, it's not actually a musical, even though it is. It is 100% a musical. Also, it's not trying to have these big numbers. Fuck you. It so is. It absolutely is trying to have these big numbers. That's You Will Be Found. That's why every single song, not every single song, most of the songs have the big dramatic chord change at the end, which I've listened to some of the new songs. They added new songs from the movies and they don't add the chord change, which is it's actually disappointing at that point, because that's one of the funniest things in the show. You get to the end of the song and it's nope, there's more. We changed the key. I said chord change instead of key change. Fuck, didn't I? Please don't revoke my theater kid license. I just can't speak. Okay. Okay, let's go on before I embarrass myself more. Which Dear Evan Hansen Broadway songs are not in the movie? Noticeably missing from the soundtrack are Anybody Have a Map, Disappear, To Break in a Glove, and Good for You. As for why Dear Evan Hansen songs like Anybody Have a Map are excluded from the film, producer Mark Platt, Ben's father, explained, there are certain songs on stage called presentational songs, where the character is not singing to anyone in particular, is turning to the audience and singing. Mark noted that for the movie, it would have felt too stage-bound and otherworldly. First, once again, I'm calling bullshit on this. Again, the point of the musical is that they turn to the audience and sing their feelings. I think most people who enjoy musicals would note that that's one of the appeals of it. And also, the other reason that's bullshit is because Waving Through a Window is a presentational song by that description. Evan isn't singing to anybody. He's very specifically talking about how no one actually listens to him. He's just on his own, fricking monologuing. And that's fine. It's part of the appeals of theater and musicals. You get these insights and asides into the characters' lives in a ways that you can do in film, but is less common. So, tell me, Mark Platt, executive producer of the film and father of male lead Ben Platt, why is the presentational song sung by Ben Platt allowed, but not the ones that, establishes every other character's arc? Like, God, the removal of Anybody Have a Map in particular is weird because it's the opening number, which means it's the number that tells you, like, here are our principal characters, here's what they do, this is their feeling, nobody knows what the fuck is going on and how to navigate their personal lives, and that's going to be the entire driving force of the show. I don't know why you would take that out. Like, full stop, they're not taking these out for time, because the film and the stage show are, like, around the same time. I think the film is actually longer by a couple of minutes, but that's only because it doesn't have an intermission. If you take out the intermission, the film is longer than the actual stage show. And they're putting in new songs, so they're not doing this for time. And, if you're going to take out songs for time, Disappear, To Break in a Glove, those are fair things to pull. No one likes Larry. Fuck Larry. You can do that. And I always thought Disappear and You Will Be Found were, these are the same song, except they're both 4 minutes or something. But Anybody Have a Map is the Good Morning Baltimore. It's the introductory song. It's how we meet all the characters. It's kind of important to the plot. That's the thing about musicals. The songs are important to the plot, and thus you can't usually just take them out without removing plot points. And speaking of removing plot points, we're going to continue this quote here. Songs that did not feel authentic, honest, or real were also cut. Dear Evan Hansen is a musical about contemporary life, Mark shared. Unlike other musicals, it's not a heightened world of bright colors or a period piece. It's happening today. It's dealing with real issues, and the stakes are life and death. Sir, have you never seen a goddamn musical? I hate this so much. Musicals get this bad rap because people think they're a genre instead of a medium, and thus that dictates what kind of stories can and are told. But, no, you can tell any type of story with a musical. The limits are the skills of the creators. And it's okay. And it's also, heightened world of bright colors or a period piece. Those are kind of on opposite scales, buddy. Okay, given that I'm going to keep talking about Hairspray because I love it and everyone should go watch Hairspray. That is both a period piece and a heightened world of bright colors, and it's also very much dealing with real issues. And other musicals can have stakes that are life and death. Example, West Side Story, which everyone should at least watch the original. I haven't seen the Steven Spielberg remake, but, like, I'm gonna watch it because Rita Moreno is a queen. So there's that. Like, again, there's this thread of just, like, being embarrassed that this film is a musical, which is not a good way to make a musical film. It is not good. If you're doing something and embarrassed by it, people notice that shit. Then there's the fact that it's like songs that did not feel authentic, honest, or real were also cut. Like, again, disappear to break in a glove. Those are good things to cut for plot reasons or time, not because they don't feel authentic. Jesus Christ. To break in the glove is like one of the daddest songs ever. Like, Jesus Christ. It even has a sports analogy. Like, it is the daddest fucking song ever. It is the platonic ideal of a Midwestern dad rolled into one song. Like, it's just no one likes Larry, because fuck Larry. And Good For You. Good For You is another song that's kind of important to the fucking plot, because it's the part where where Evan's mom and friends call him out for being a selfish little bitch and pushing them away as soon as he gets the thing he wants. Because Evan's a selfish little bitch. And unlike Words Fail, which is a YouTube apology video in song form, I'm sorry, Evan doesn't have a response to it. It's kind of important. It's one of the ways in which he gets taken into account. And the fact that it's removed doesn't bode well. And granted, they're probably going to have a scene where Alana and Jared and Heidi call Evan out for being a selfish little bitch. Like, that moment's probably going to happen, but I know it's not going to have the same emotional impact because of that old saying that you hear all the time about musical theater, that when the emotion becomes too strong for speech, you sing. When it becomes too strong for song, you dance. Like, the fact that they're not breaking out into song kind of tells me that this moment is going to be losing focus in favor of some other things. And I don't think this is a moment that deserves to lose focus. Also, Good For You. Best song in this goddamn show. Fucking fight me. Okay, we are continuing on. Who plays Evan Hansen in Dear Evan Hansen? We're going to skip around here a bit. So, Ben Platt is like, what, 29 or something? He's almost 30. Most people have been saying that, you know, he shouldn't be playing a teenager. Like, because it's one thing to do it on stage. Stage shows just have bitch times. It's hard to have kids in them. Like, unless you're Disney and the show is geared towards kids. Films, you can actually have teenagers. But what Platt says about this is that people like to have something to say that is negative regardless of what it is. And so if my thing is something that I can't control at all, which is my age, then, like, bring it on, Platt said on the Zach Sang Show in June 2021. I'm glad it's not about the performance or my voice or anything that actually matters. I think the reaction is largely from people who don't know the context of the piece. The fact that I created the world and workshopped it for 3 years and did all of the out-of-town production and originated it on Broadway and received the accolades that I did, and also not really understanding the fact that, like, were I not to do the movie, it probably wouldn't get made. Computer work. My defensive response is to want to, like, go on Twitter and be like, F you guys, like, you don't even know, like, this wouldn't exist without me. And of course that's not true entirely, and that's not my place to say. All I have to do is let the work kind of speak for itself, he added. Hopefully people will realize that it's sort of ingrained in me, and there wasn't really any question on anyone actually connected to the piece or who was actually a part of the film. There was never any kind of discussion that it wouldn't be me. The movie's director couldn't imagine anyone else playing the role of Evan. It's his part, Chofsky told Vanity Fair of Platt. I felt very strongly about it, and to me it was never even a consideration. Now, like, obviously don't harass actors on Twitter, but like I do think that it is a fair critique of a film that's trying to relate to teenagers and be relatable to teenagers to not have an adult man trying to play a teenager when you could have an actual younger actor through the role. And also, again, I'm not super excited that the writers and casting directors seem to think that Evan is the only role where it would matter to get the original actor for. Like like I said, Dear Evan Hansen is best enjoyed if Evan is like the protagonist, but not the only one. Because Evan's kind of a fucking bitch. I'm sorry. He has anxiety. So do other characters. That's the fucking point. Basically, I'm broadly concerned that Evan, with all this focus on Evan, because I think the film is improved if it zoomed out and focused on the other characters and what this means to them. Like, I think Alana's line before Good For You, where she asks to know more about Connor because she relates to him, because she understands feeling invisible, and Evan brushes her aside because he thinks she just wants this for her college application. Words are hard. Is really, really good. I think the fact that we're putting all of this focus on Evan and being like, he has to be the original actor is kind of bullshit. Like, just because someone originated a role doesn't mean they're the best person to play that role. Look at, like, any Phantom of the Opera discussion ever. And furthermore, like, yeah, if this story is supposed to be super relatable, then someone else should have the opportunity to put their own spin on it. And then also, what about every single other goddamn character? Are they just not important enough to get the original Broadway cast back? Could they not get the original Broadway cast? And, like, I know the answer is that his dad's the executive producer of the movie, so he gets to be the lead, and or I know the answer is probably that his dad's the executive producer of the movie, so he gets to be the lead. But, like, you know, he could have still been in the movie. Like, Rita Moreno, Queen, is not reprising her role of Anita in West Side Story, because it's a story about youth and young people and the folly of youth. And, like, yeah, basically, it's weird to have an adult like have to physically work on their diet and try to look like a teenager instead of just casting a teenager and letting someone else have a take on the role. Like, that's one of the appeals of long-running shows, getting to see these new characters brought out by different actors. That is also one of the appeals of adaptations. And also, having all the original actors reprise their roles in Rent was one of the reasons the Rent movie sucked, because all the actors were too old by that point. Like, this isn't the stage where... This isn't the stage. There are some differences between stage and film, and one of them is that since we expect a certain level of realism from film that we don't expect from stage, while we can accept that these characters are singing, the fact that one of them looks like a 30-year-old man doesn't fly. And I don't like that they never even considered not having Ben Platt in it, because now it just sounds like it's a vanity project. Although I am excited for Amy Adams. I love her. I love Amy Adams so much. She should just be in everything. And Amanda Stenberg. Both of them need to be in everything. Okay. Scrolling through this because there's one last thing I wanted to talk about. How how does Dear Evan Hansen end? While don't want to spoil the musical for you, Platt previously revealed to The Telegraph that the ending has been rewritten for the film and holds the deceitful Evan to account more than the musical did. We see this kid do all these things and tell all these lies in real time, so we need to see the redemption and the forgiveness and the repentance. Watching Evan do the work to figure out who Connor was and heal the family in a much healthier, more removed way, and see him take a breath and heal outside of the trauma he's experienced is really, really effective. The actor has spoken more about the exciting change in the third act of the movie, telling Entertainment Weekly, in the stage musical, there's very little closure once Evan confesses to the family. He doesn't have to repent in any real way. We get a sense that he is going to in the future, which obviously makes the musical work in the end, but we don't get to see really what that means. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a whole section in the film where Evan gets to come clean in a meaningful way and go to work to try to make some good. That was the part that really got me because it was new. Now, again, I haven't seen the movie. I specifically have been avoiding reviews, and I'm trying to make sure this gets out before the movie's even in theaters to the public. I think it's going to be coming out on Thursday or Friday. So I'm not going to harp on this too much, but okay, the way the film ends, Evan does his YouTube apology song, and then we cut to a year later, and Zoe's like, yeah, you lied to my family and did it to possibly date me, which is kind of weird and fucked up and creepy. But, we all needed it a little. We all needed a little. We could have gotten a therapist, but, this was better for some reason. And that is one of the faults of the show. I think the fact that we don't get a lot of resolution with Jared, with Alana, Heidi sort of gets some resolution. We get sort of a follow-up with Evan's mom, but we don't get to see Alana or Jared, or the fact that, Evan's thing has been accepting donations for something based on a lie. And that's bad. And because of that, I understand. I definitely agree that the ending needed to be changed. I do sort of agree that there should be more consequences. But, but I don't like the way Platt describes this as still very focused on Evan. I think I'd rather see what happens with Connor's family, what happens with Alana and Jared and all of that stuff. What happens to people who were inspired by the Connor Project. I actually don't really care all that much about Evan. Mostly because what will probably happen is he gets roasted on Twitter for a few years and or becomes a meme, but then everyone's going to forget his face. That's how this tends to work. Yeah. I don't need to see Evan repent. I want to make sure everybody else is okay after all of this. I think Evan stepping back is good. I think the fact that this ending sounds like it's still only focused on Evan is not good. So, yeah, there it is. There's are my thoughts as, a fan of the musical. Basically, I enjoy the show. I enjoy the soundtrack. I think, broadly speaking, the strength of the supporting cast makes up for the fact that Evan is sort of a shitty person. There are characters to root for. I don't think you're supposed to root for Evan to get away with his lie. And I think it's unfair to say that's what the film is about. I think that, but I do think the film is missing out on ways to expand in favor of focusing solely on Evan, and I think that's a mistake. I also get the feeling the directors are more concerned with getting Ben Platt his EGOT than they are about telling the story, and that's why he's still the lead, and why they're sort of focusing more on his character. And I feel like they don't like that this is a musical and are embarrassed by that, which just, in general, makes musical films less fun to watch. So, yeah, there you go. There's my unsolicited opinion for the day. Thank you for watching.